Sean Cole with discountjuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and this is one many of you guys may have been waiting for. What we're going to do today is we're going to use the all-new SlowStar juicer. I like the SlowStar juicer for a few reasons. Number one, it's currently the lowest RPM juicer available in the USA. Runs at 47 RPMs. So in general, the lower the RPMs, the higher the nutrition quality in the juice. So I like that a lot. I've been testing it. It works really well on things like leafy greens and hard veggies. It's kind of so-so with juice and fruits, but overall I like it. And another reason why I really like it, and it's really handy, is because of this guy right here. This is actually what's called the homogenizing attachment or mincing attachment. And what this allows you to do is make things like peanut butter, frozen banana sorbet, also known as banana ice cream, which is no cream, it's just using 100% bananas, other frozen fruit sorbets, even things like salsas, and grinding up various ingredients that you would use in your kitchen. Now, the reason why I like the SlowStar is because it actually includes this attachment. The majority of the other vertical single auger machines on the market do not have an attachment such as this, and you can kind of fudge doing the homogenizing with the juicing screen, but it makes a mess, and in some cases it may actually void your warranty, and I don't necessarily recommend it because it gets messy. I recommend you guys use the proper machine for the proper use when it has the right attachments. So the SlowStar only machine that currently includes this attachment, so I like that a lot. So you're getting really two items for the price of one. You're getting a homogenizer, mincer, kind of semi-food processor, but this is still not a food processor. It does process foods in a way similar to a food processor, but you get a totally different texture that's new and unique. And that's why I'm here to share with you guys today. So as you guys can see, we got the juicer set up for the standard juicing, you know, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this juicer apart. It's very easy to disassemble. We're just going to go ahead and take this machine all apart. This is the whole juicing apparatus here. And we're going to set that to the side because we're not going to need it. And lately, we've been using the SlowStar only with the mincing attachment actually to see how it would work before I made this demo for you guys. So what this attachment is very simply two parts here for the attachment that come on and off like that, and the auger. So this by far is the easiest homogenizing attachment to clean that I've ever seen. Literally, it's just 3 parts, and these parts are very easy to clean at that. So how you do this, so you put this on the machine here like this, kind of locks into place. There is a built-in safety switch in the SlowStar juicer that if it is not properly assembled, it will not turn on. So you need to assemble it properly. Next, we're going to put the auger right in there, slides right in. Then we're going to put the top on. There's a little dot on the top here that you're going to line up with the dot on the top of the housing. Line it up and then rotate into place, and now you're all assembled. So what we're going to process in this first is frozen bananas. So with frozen bananas, it allows you to make frozen banana sorbet. So frozen banana sorbet, or raw foodists may call it frozen banana ice cream, but there's no cream in there, it's 100% bananas. So instead of eating ice cream with all kinds of additives, whether it's corn syrup, monodiglycerides, and different added food colorings and preservatives, I want you guys to eat more fruits and vegetables. So in this way, you can now eat frozen bananas or other frozen fruits instead of the ice cream. This is going to reduce the amount of calories you're eating, also reduce the amount of processed foods you're eating, but increase the amount of fresh fruits you're eating, or frozen fruits. So how do you get the frozen bananas? Because they don't really sell them, they would oxidize really fast. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to the store and buy some ripe bananas. So ripe bananas tend to be spotted and a little bit soft. They might even want to be a little more spotted than you're looking at here on the video. And what you're going to do is you're going to get them and try to buy them when they're in the bags. Like they have the bags when they're like half off because they're for the store, they're overripe, and sometimes they're not even ripe enough. And I'll just buy them when they're that and they're half off, so they're really cheap. Sometimes you get them pennies on the dollar. And what you do is you're going to go ahead and peel the bananas like this, and then you're going to put it in some kind of container. So I like to use like a little glass container with a plastic top so my bananas don't freeze in plastic, although you can use Tupperware or something else if you don't have it, or I've even used Ziploc bags, or you could use a food saver or whatnot. But you're going to take the banana, just put it in there, put it in the freezer, it'll freeze it rock hard. Very important that your bananas are rock hard, otherwise this is not going to work. And if you are making banana ice cream, don't take it out of the freezer and then, talk for 10 minutes like I am and then try to do it, because then you're going to have a mush instead of a nice textured frozen banana ice cream that we all like. So next, all you need to simply do is take the frozen bananas out of the freezer, and then we're going to turn the machine on. Once again, this is a nice, quiet running machine. We're going to take the frozen bananas. You want to make sure they're still hard, and these are some hard bananas, let me tell you, ladies. We're going to drop that right in, and what you're going to see come out, it's going to mush up the banana, and it's basically going to come out in a sorbet-like consistency. Now, some machines do this task better than others. Looks like the SlowStar is doing a good job on it. Now, if you just do this, you'll have straight up banana ice cream. But hey, if you want it a little bit more fancy, you could take what I'm taking here. It's actually some raw organic carob powder. And you're going to take some of that and just put like a little spoonful in to the machine as you feed in another banana. And check it out. As you can see, the banana's ice cream is kind of white. And now, as you guys can see, check it out. It's coming out more chocolatey. So you could also add the chocolate or the carob right in afterwards, and then you're going to basically mix it up as well. Alright, so as you guys can see, you just mixed in some of that carob, and check it out. Here's some of the delicious carob banana ice cream I just made. Man, with that carob stuff, tastes just like chocolate to me. I don't advocate that you guys use raw cacao, or even chocolates. They do contain theobromine, which in my opinion is not a good thing. And I think it's eaten far too much. Chocolate needs to be sweetened in order to eat it, because normally it's bitter. So if you add just the chocolate powder to this recipe, it's going to taste nasty. You're going to have to add extra sweeteners to compensate. But the carob, you could eat that fresh off the tree. It's ever so sweet, adds a nice chocolatey flavor to your banana ice cream if you want something a little bit different. So that's how the SlowStar juicer could make some banana sorbet. Definitely looks really good, definitely a good texture. And the one hint I want to give you guys is once you make it, don't let it sit around, don't refreeze it. You want to make it and eat it and enjoy. Bon appetit. Wow, that banana carob sorbet or ice cream was delicious. Next, what we're going to do is show you guys how you can make some nut butter with the SlowStar juicer. I mean, that's what the homogenizing attachment does. It literally crushes up and homogenizes everything into a nice fine grind. Now, if you're expecting to get something like this stuff, you know, this is like store-bought tahini, which is actually ground up sesame seeds. You know, get that out of your mind right now, because this machine, nor any other juicer that I've tested, will make this style nut butters, or seed butters, as in the case of tahini. Especially on the sesame seeds, the seeds are so small that they just don't really get crushed in these machines. These machines are better for doing like crunchy style peanut butter. And the peanuts would actually work really well. The reason why the peanuts work really well, especially the roasted peanuts, is because of the high oil content. When nuts are roasted in oil, number one, they're adding oil. Number two, the oils are coming out of the nut. So when you put it through the machine, you're putting through a nice oily, fatty mixture, and then it comes out and it congeals and sticks together really well. If you do a raw nut, for example, like almonds, then the almonds don't have a high oil content if they're raw, and you literally will just get crushed up almonds, more like an almond meal, because, you know, it's not sticking and clumping together. One of the ways to solve this is you could add actually oil to it, and then that'll get it to stick together. So if you're doing almonds, you would add almond oil. I don't necessarily like doing that, adding oil to the things I'm eating. So what I do instead is I take the almonds that are ground up and put it back through the machine. And I have videos on YouTube showing me like putting it back through the machine like 6 additional times. Every time you put it through the machine an additional time, it gets ground up more and forces some of that oil out of the nut that you're grinding. So it does stick together a little bit better each and every time. But there's a point where it's useless to continue to feed it. And even at that point, it will not turn out like a nut butter, so that get that out of your mind. But it will turn into something that's easily spreadable, kind of spreadable, like that. Another solution that people do is they actually add water to the nuts before they process them, so that actually gets it to stick together. But if you do this, then your nut butter will not store. If you do not add water, you know, this stuff is actually some of the best nut butters you could buy. It's actually by a regenerative food, low temp ground, 100% organic. Your nut butters will store if you don't add water. If you add the water, then they will have a propensity to mold, and then you should use them within a day or two, in my opinion. You should not store that for any length of time. If you do not add the water and only add the oil, or don't add any oil at all, it'll store for, I don't know, good 3-4 months in your fridge, no problem whatsoever. That being said, because you have your own machine to grind your own nuts or seeds, what you should do now is only grind as much as you're going to need for that sitting. So if you're making a toast, you want to put nut butter on your toast, just make enough for your toast and then clean the juicer up and, make some more later. That's what I'd recommend. Just like when you're juicing, you want to make the juice, drink it. You don't want to make juice for the next week and then store it in your fridge and then drink it later. The nutrition goes down, and once you expose, the nuts to air and crush them all up, then they can go rancid. So anyways, what we're going to demonstrate today is two things. First, we're going to demonstrate the macadamia nuts, and these are just raw macadamia nuts. And then for a comparison, we're going to show you guys some of the Planters nuts here. So we got actually deluxe whole cashews. These are roasted and salted, and actually this is cashews and peanut with cottonseed oil and sea salt. So when grinding your own nuts, it's it's definitely better to use a roasted nut than a raw nut, because it's just going to work better. That being said, I know many people are on what's called the raw foods diet, so then you want to use a high oil content nut. And actually, macadamia nuts are one of the high oil content, so that means you're going to make a better nut butter out of it. Not a big fan of cashews. I'd rather have you guys eat the macadamia nuts. They're a lot more healthy in my opinion. So I guess with that, let's just go ahead and turn this machine on, and we'll put these macadamia nuts through the machine. We are going to process 16 ounces of macadamia nuts that are encased in this little like tahini style or nut butter jar. And we're going to see how much this actually compresses down, and we're going to fit it back in here when we're all done. So first we're going to turn on the machine, and then we're just going to slowly add our nuts. Now, don't just dump the whole thing, all the nuts in at once. Just do a few at a time. You're going to let the machine work. So as you guys can see, it's crushing up the macadamia nuts in there. And check it out, we almost got a nice macadamia nut crumble, because it is just literally crushing up the nuts. It's not really making a butter yet, so we're probably going to have to refeed this and put it through a few times. Alright, so as you guys can see, we basically got crumbled macadamia nuts. So this is not quite the butter consistency that I'm looking for, so what we're going to do is we're going to put another catch container down. We're going to pour this back through the machine. Now it is kind of sticking together pretty good, but it's still, I would not nearly consider this a nut butter by any means. It's still pretty coarse. Now we're feeding it through again, and when we feed it through again, the machine will continue to work on crush up and try to get some of that oil out of the nuts. Alright, so second time through, and it's definitely congealed much better, but still not quite that butter I'm looking for. So let's switch this out and go third time through. Now the thing that I want to say about this is that, we're putting it through this machine, it's running at a low 47 RPMs. If you really want to make a nut butter, you want to get a juicer that runs at high RPMs. They actually do the nut butters better because they actually add heat when you're processing your nuts. These machines, because they run at a low RPM, they do not add heat, and so this makes the whole grinding process a little more tedious. But also will preserve more of the nutrition in the food. So third time through is a charm. Let's go ahead and turn this off. As you guys can see, it's working better. It's even sticking together better, but it's still not that butter consistency I'm looking for. So let's go for a fourth time through. Turn that on. Let's run this back through again. It's definitely sticking better together now. There's definitely less to process through there. And I want to give you guys a close-up on actually the macadamia nut, the processed macadamia nuts as they're coming out. Every time they come out, you could see just a little bit better that it's actually sticking together a little bit more. Alright, that was the fourth time through. This is all stuck together pretty good. We're going to go ahead and get this stuff out. And as you guys can see, the volume is actually reducing each and every time we process the nuts. That's because it's sticking together more and more. Fifth time. Now we got big chunks that are kind of going in here. I like the macadamia nuts like this. They would be excellent to add to like some dates and put it in some dates. Be really good. Looks like now because it is kind of getting more buttery and stuck together, we're going to actually have to use the pusher to push it in the machine. Another thing I want you guys to notice is that these bowls were completely like clear, and now they're kind of getting a little bit oily on the inside. That's because the machine is finally grinding and getting some of the oil out of the nuts. As you guys can see, after the 5th time, it's really sticking together much better. But it's still, in my opinion, not a butter, so we're going to go ahead and put it through again. Presto changeo, change it out. Let's put it through another time. So this is the 6th time going through. Once again, we will have to use the pusher here. All right, as you guys can see, this is coming out almost a butter texture, nice and stuck together. Yeah, it's not a super fine macadamia nut butter, but maybe a tiny bit crunchy. Actually, let me go ahead and try some of this stuff. It's pretty stuck together pretty well there. Wow. It's definitely a high-fat, rich, delicious butter. I think it's stuck to the top of my mouth now. This stuff's better than peanut butter, man. Alright, so that was the 6th time. Let's go 7th time. See how this is going to work. As you guys can see inside the machine, it looks like it's really ground up inside there now. It's working really, really well. Alright, so now we're going to shut the machine off. I think we're pretty much good. I mean, this has done quite a good job. I could sit here for another bunch of times, but it's getting actually quite fine now. It's really stuck together quite well as well. We're going to go ahead and disassemble this machine and show you guys actually inside the machine what it looks like after making some nut butters. As you guys can see, this part is actually fairly clean. And inside here, there's ground up nuts everywhere, man. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy off, and we're going to pull the auger out. And I wouldn't just take this and clean it off, man. There's still a lot of nut butter on here. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and put it over the catch container and just brush all my nut butters in. I mean, macadamia nuts, man, they could run like, that's good. They run like 18 bucks a pound, Whole Foods, man. So don't let any of this stuff go to waste. So we got most of the nut butter off the auger. One of the things I like to do is just, when I'm cleaning it, is store the auger upside down on the feed chute housing. And this nut butter is so oily, it's actually leaving oil marks on my tablecloth. That's how well the SlowStar actually extracted all the oil out. Don't forget about this piece here. There's still a lot of nut butter in there. I'm just going to carefully go in and with the back side or the flat side of a knife as not to scratch the plastic, and very carefully remove my nut butter that's stuck in the housing here. Alright, so I just got about all the macadamia nut butter out of the housing. We're going to go ahead and reassemble because we're going to do those cashews next. Next, what I want to do is I want to take this stuff and I'm going to pour it into the jar to see how much nut butter we actually made, because this jar was full of the macadamia nuts beforehand, and we're just going to go ahead and store this macadamia nut butter in the fridge. Right, so I just about got all the macadamia nut butter out of this measuring cup into our storage vessel, or our glass jar here. I always recommend you guys store things on actually glass and real materials versus plastic. I just like it a whole lot better. Anyways, it looks like we got all the mac nut butter in there. Some of the stuff I was scooping out is really fine, and some of it's, you know, not I wouldn't say it's too coarse. Now we're just going to crush this down and compress it all together. A good tool to do that is the tamper. So as you guys can see, we started with a full container. We probably got about, I don't know, 65% of the container filled back. I mean, it's definitely solid. And we're going to do the final taste test for you on the mac nuts before we move on to the cashews. There it is. It's stuck pretty good, man. I'd say it's definitely like that little bit finer texture than that crunchy peanut butter Laura Scudders I used to have as a kid. That was like the natural one without all the additives. My parents wouldn't let us have that as kids. Man, this stuff tastes far better. You got to get the SlowStar to make your own fresh macadamia nut butter. It's definitely the bomb. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reset the machine up. So what we got to do is put the auger back in, put the top back on, put our bowl there, and we're going to take these roasted cashews, take our top off. Roasted cashews with some peanuts in there. Let's turn this machine on and see how they process roasted nuts. Right, as you guys can see, it's crushing up these roasted nuts. As you guys can see, it's coming out once again more like a little flour than actually a nut butter. So what we're gonna have to do is put it back through a couple times like we did on those Mac nuts. Once again, came out pretty clean, kind of like, you know, not quite a butter yet at this point. Once again, if you're sticking anything into the machine like this, you want to make sure it's off. I'm just doing to get, you know, some of the ground up nuts out of the ejection port. Next, we're gonna go ahead and switch bowls out, and we're gonna pour this mixture through again. And to show you guys, this is actually, it's sticking together better than the macadamia nuts first time through, but still, you know, definitely not a butter yet. Definitely working a lot better on the roasted cashews and peanuts. It's sticking together significantly better than the raw macadamia nuts. But once again, you will have to put this through multiple times to get it to be that nice, sticky consistency that you're looking for. Alright, so second time through it worked actually a lot better than the macadamia nuts second time through. The oil is just getting released faster on these guys than the actual macadamia nuts. Once again, we're going to switch this guy out, let's turn it back on again, and third time through now. As you guys can see, the cashew peanut butter is coming out pretty good, stuck together actually quite well. It's taking less time now. This is basically because these nuts have a lot higher oil content, so it's sticking together and congealing much better than the raw macadamia nuts. Once again, turn this guy on, and let's see what we get this time. Check this out. I mean, we got little globs here of the cashew peanut butter. All right, so now I'm having to use the pusher with the SlowStar. The nut butter is not crumbly enough to actually just go in and self-feed. It's sticking together so much that I need to now use the pusher here, and as you guys can see, it's coming out nearly almost all stuck together. Alright, so let's change it out one more time and refeed all the nuts through the machine. Once again, now it's really stuck together. You can see literally chunks of the cashew peanut butter going into the machine now. It's really getting in there and grinding it up. If you just look into the housing here, I mean, literally that looks like a nut butter in there, just ground up and so stuck together. Looks really good. As it's coming out here, it's really stuck together now, significantly better than all the times before it. And it might be almost ready, but nonetheless, it's still just not like the nut butters from the store. So let's chain this out one more time and put it back through and check it out. I mean, we've really reduced the amount of material we have, and look, now it's only one big chunk there. Just gonna feed that right back in the machine and see if we get it to stick together even better. Check it out, it's almost like flowing out and dripping out, but not quite. I think if we put it through one more time, we almost might have that semi-liquidy texture. Let's go ahead and turn this guy off, feed it through one more time, see what we get. Switch the bowls out, turn it back on. Now it's really easy to feed because it's literally all stuck together in big globbers. And now it's really getting to be that butter consistency now. Nice and fine, a little bit warm. Man, do this a couple more times, you'll probably have the stuff like the store. Every time you keep grinding it down, it keeps grinding it down further and further and extracting more oils and making a nice, softer, smoother, cleaner texture. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Let's go ahead and get this stuff out. It's also getting more difficult to get this stuff out because now it's smearing versus just coming out easy. That's definitely a sign and an indication that the oils are definitely coming out now. Let's switch this guy out one more time. Let's put it through again. All right, we're pushing the cashews and peanuts once again through the SlowStar machine to make our nut butter. And I think the eyes finally have it. As you guys can see, man, this is almost that buttery consistency we're looking for. It's nice and a smooth texture. Man, nice and aromatic now, actually. We've really reduced the volume now of the nuts. I mean, we started out with 8.5 ounce of nuts, and now we have this literally delicious butter that's sticky and gooey now. I mean, this stuff is sticking to my hands all over. So I think we're about done on this one. It's definitely worked quite well. Let's go ahead and turn this machine off. So that's how easy it is to make frozen banana sorbets or frozen banana ice cream, and the nut butters, which you do need to feed through multiple times to get it to congeal perfectly. And once again, it will never really turn out like the store-bought stuff, so you want to get that idea out of your head at this point. But it will do a good job at grinding and crushing things up, especially if you put it through multiple times. We've made things like salsas in here. We've taken raw eggplant and put it through there. It makes a nice texture. In another episode, I'll actually be putting through raw cabbage to grind it up to make a delicious sauerkraut. I mean, there's so many different uses you can do with the mincing attachment. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode learning more about the SlowStar mincing or homogenizing attachment. These are just two of the many things you can do with it. It's definitely an awesome machine. You could juice, also do all these things with the mincing attachment. It's definitely a machine you probably want to consider adding to your kitchen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and let's get ready to juice off! rumble, wait, wrong show. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a juice off comparison between the Bella NutriPro juicer and the Tribes SlowStar juicer.